Hey, Elissa.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, Elissa. Big day. It's day one of a hypothetical 1 year long engagement with you as a fractional CMO. Okay. So,
Okay.
some client somewhere, they've hired you, it's a year. Um, Tell me, what does a fractional CMO do? And what is a fractional CMO? And what do they do in the first 90 days? And also let people know a little bit about you too.
Oh my God, so many things to answer. Okay, first of all,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Elissa Jane Mastel, and I've been in marketing for a very long time. I have been doing the fractional CMO thing for a lot longer than I realized it was a term that people
Yeah.
were using. When I went independent, um, in 2006, this version, I've been independent numerous times, but this version of being independent, I decided that my value proposition would be that I would be a full marketing department for the fraction of the cost of a part-time employee, and that was my jam, and I've said that over and over since 2006 to now. I found out that what I'm doing is fractional CMO work, which is that I'm creating a marketing department, I'm creating marketing services, I'm creating a full suite of marketing services for all of my clients. I handle a lot of stuff myself, but now I've gotten too busy to do all the stuff myself, so I source which paid people were using, which graphic artists were using, which web people were using. It's not that I can't do that work myself, and I'm glad that I
Nice.
know how to do all that stuff, so I can speak that language. I don't get tongue tied like other people might be by programmer speak, for example, or paid people also seem to have a jargon that they try to make things more complicated. No offense to paid people, but you know what I'm talking about. So I like to,
They
I've
know who
become a
they are.
I know. So I've kind of become a translator, right, between like my client, who's usually a founder or a CEO or
Right.
a member of the C-suite, and also marketing directors who need a me to come in and translate what all the moving parts are doing um, outside. And so
So,
I'm
what sort of makes up the first 90 days then of an engagement?
Yeah, so I do a much shorter discovery time
Mhm.
than other people. I am a kinesthetic learner. I have a learning disability, and I've discovered that I'm a kinesthetic learner. And so the best way for me to really learn a business is to learn by doing. So what I will do is I will make an assessment of what they've been doing so far, and if they're brand new, what they've
Mhm.
got, which could be very little. In a lot of cases, somebody made they went to Taylor Brands or Fiverr and made a logo and thought, oh, we have a brand, but there's no brand story, and it's kind of funky looking, and it's janky, and it doesn't really solidify who they are. So we've got to start from scratch. So I understand that there are those things in the beginning, but once we solidify what the brand is, what the brand story is going to be, a mission, I like to get in there and really start putting content out and getting feedback from the community, being that we're posting pretty quickly,
Right.
we're getting collateral out, and then I'm reviewing data. So let's say I do a month of social media marketing and we do a month of email marketing. I'm able to get some data. What was the open rate? What was the engagement? Were people clicking? Were people
Mhm.
making comments? Like, what was happening? And then I can look at what was working for that brand. And then we do more of that. And what wasn't working, we kind of, all right, we're not going to do so much more of that. People don't really like when they do these things, because what works for one brand is not going to work for another. And the other thing too is really getting to know the brand's language. If the company is a new startup, then we're developing that language together, and that takes a few months. I'm not going to have it right off the bat. I mean, if I'm using my own language, there's going to be like, hey dude, that's cool, but that's not how my brands talk. So I've got to learn their speak, I've got to learn their vernacular. I like to be stealthy. I want it to feel like the founder of the company somehow has the time to write all this social media content and all these
Yeah.
blogs. It needs to come from her or his voice. So it takes me about 90 days to understand what's working and what's not working. I learn
Right.
by doing, by getting stuff out there. Like I'm on it. By week 2, I'm pumping out content and getting feedback from the Weberverse, and also customers, right? Like if we're selling a specific product, are we getting conversions? Like, are people digging this? Is this funnel working? Are these, automations working? We'll get some data so that I know by month 3, I should have some traction. I should have some conversions. I should have a really good sense of what I should fluently speak their brand language and be able to then build from that so that the next, 3 months after the first 3 months, we're really cooking.
All right. So that really neatly, I think, leads into the next question I wanted to ask you, which was, okay, so let's like flip positions, and you're now that client's CEO, right? Like, how are you going to get maximum value out of the fractional CMO that you now have for a year? Like, how do you
Yeah.
squeeze every last bit of value out of that person? You might renew them, but in case you don't, how do you like get maximum, or how do you waste money typically?
Okay. Well, I am pretty psyched to say that every single one of my clients has kept me much longer than the
Hmm.
contract right now. Every one of my clients right now, because I don't want people to go back in time like, but in 2000, and
Hmm.
every one of my clients right now in my roster have had me over a year. And what has worked with them is that I've provided, first of all, I don't gatekeep. Second of all, I'm full transparent. I will train your team to know everything I know. I will train you to understand everything I know. Like I said, remember I said I'm a translator? I really love when my clients totally understand, are fluent in what marketing stuff is. I know they're busy and they don't have the time to do it or to manage it. Otherwise, they wouldn't need me. But I want them to know what's going on. I don't want them to feel like I feel when I go to the mechanic with my car.
Right.
And, so it's really important to me that they feel like I'm transparent, I'm honest, I'm giving them what they need to know, and giving them as much information as they need so they really feel like I'm their right hand gal. I
Okay,
love that.
so let's think about like those 12 months, all right, of a
Mhm.
duration of this hypothetical engagement. Let's think about the marketing team for a minute, right? How are they different at the end of the 12 months than you've been there for a year than at the beginning when, it's the day one, they don't even, they barely even talk to you yet. How does the marketing team as a whole change or improve ideally, right? At the end by the end of the 12 months.
Um, you know,
What are they better at, or what have they stopped doing?
Okay, yeah, yeah. So, one thing is I don't gatekeep. So if you have anyone on your team doing any specific task, I'm going to teach them everything I know. I want them to be better than me. I want them to be super awesome. I was this way when I was a marketing director at companies. I have discovered that when you build and empower the people you're working for and the
Hmm.
people you're working with up, we all do better. I had to learn that the hard way. If you met me 25 years ago, I was a terrible boss. I was the bitchy, awful boss that felt like if people knew what I know, they won't want me to be in leadership. But I've discovered that being the best leadership I can be is to just empower everyone around me to be awesomer than me. So I love when I elevate everyone on the team to be that much better. And it could be just through encouragement, it could be through training, it could be through just the way that we all work together. So, for the most part, most of my clients don't have a team. They
Right.
need me to create the team.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I'm the one pulling in I'm using a lot of the same people over and over because we have a great relationship. Like the web person, one of the web people that I work with, my WordPress person, I've been with her for 4 years. So, I do like to build relationships with the people that are around me. So we have a really solid team on my end. But I've also coached, I had a client that was a tech company. They hired a girl who had 19,000 followers on Instagram. So she must be good at social media. Uh, this story is old as time. So what do? Instead of sacking her, I love this. They hired me to come in and train her. So I took her
Sure.
under my wing, and when I left, she was awesome. She had great systems in place. She had great protocols in place. She had um, hashtag banks and ways to research things, and understood how to present reports. Like I really elevated her so she could really run that department.
Tell
So I
people,
have.
because the audience for this podcast is typically people looking to hire a fashion. They're not marketing people. Tell people what a hashtag bank is.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we regularly, for our clients, research and keep up to date a bank of hashtags that are performing really well in their
Hmm.
niche. So what I'll do is I will reuse hashtags regularly on their content, different than their TikTok hashtags, their LinkedIn hashtags, and their
Right.
Instagram hashtags will be different, for the most part. And you'll see crossover, of course. Like, if you look at my posts, you're going to see marketing agency over and over and over. But like, we create a bank of those hashtags, and we create a bank of keywords that we use over and over and over to ensure that we're getting that traction. And we update it sometimes. Like, I might see pretty regularly a hashtag in their niche that I hadn't seen it, 6 months ago. I'll add it to the hashtag bank and we'll start using it.
Okay.
So it's just literally a bank, like a
Right.
savings of all the keywords and hashtags that we keep for every client.
Oh, good idea. Okay, so um, I am
It makes
not a
social
fractional
go
CMO.
faster to just have that available for anybody on your team who's doing the social. Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
definitely,
like make sure that anything that works is a shared resource.
yes,
Yeah.
always.
Okay, so you know other fractional CMOs. You've been a fractional for what kind of fractional CMO gets renewed?
It's all about relationships, right?
Is it?
Like, when you make
Yeah.
yourself an integral part of the team, when you become the right hand person, to whoever you're working with, the founder, the marketing director, that person on the team, and you really create that relationship. That's everything. Because I could be mediocre and have a great relationship with someone, and they're going to keep me because at least we've got that. I feel like that's
Mhm.
the glue. And because when I have really good I'm fallible. I am not perfect. We make mistakes. I can think of, some really big blunders throughout my career, but because I had a good relationship with my client, with the person that I'm working with, I was able to, like, make amends and make it right and fix it. I feel like if I were, a jerk, or we didn't have good relationship, or we weren't, if I wasn't the transparent person that I am, and I did take accountability, that's where I would get sacked. So,
Right.
and not everything works, like, you're in marketing, you know how it goes. Like, I may have this idea that I think is brilliant. The whole team's like,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. And, I spend all this time, like, creating a custom hashtag and graphics and this campaign, and it's going to be amazing. And we launch it, and it kind of like lands as a dud. I mean, that happens. So
Yes, it does.
what gets me renewed is knowing that, is them having enough, um confidence in me and having a good relationship with me to know that, hey, hey, we tried this, let's pivot, and I'm able to, like, jump back in, come up with something new, and add to the. I'm trying not to say the pivot word because it's corny,
Yeah, I
and
know.
but like, I'm, to be able to, like, okay, let's try something new, got a new idea, be able to dust myself off and keep going on their behalf.
All right, then let's sort of running. We're almost at the end of our time. I want to ask this question, though. Okay,
Okay.
there are easier ways to make a living. Why do you do this? Why is this fun?
Oh my God, there are. I love marketing. I fell into, when I think about this is going back in time.
Yeah.
In the 90s, when I thought I was going to be a filmmaker, and I went to film school, and I was going to be like the next Martin Scorsese, and I was like sure of it. I ended up falling into public relations. And ever since, I have just been on this trajectory of, like, it just keeps making sense to me. It's organic to me. I enjoy it. It's my idea of a good time. I get to be creative. I get to be, I get to do graphics. I get to talk to people. You can see I'm pretty
Hmm.
chatty. Like, I get to be friendly. I get to
You, Patty?
work.
No, come
I
on now.
know. Who is
Come
this
on
person?
now.
I don't know. I get to, like, be out there and be social. I'm a very extroverted person. Like, this
Right.
is, I mean, it's work. I work my ass off, but it's not the kind of work that might be work to someone else. There are
Yeah.
aspects of this job that I definitely don't gravitate to. Like, I love outsourcing the paid marketing stuff. I can read analytics, I understand what it is, but, like,
Hmm.
it takes a different brain than me. I'm very much more the creative publicist, graphic design, branding gal. But, like, I understand it. But, like, that to me would be work. If I only did paid all the time, then I'd be like, why the F am I doing this? But I get to, collaborate and do the strategy stuff and be this, I want to be like puppeteer, but that sounds corny, but like, I get to like come up with a strategy and then see it all come to fruition. And this makes my very creative heart happy. So to me, it's like, I don't know what other job I'm going to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's great,
Yeah.
right? If you can't imagine yourself doing any other job, then no matter how frustrating or stressful or just like how much, whatever at all, it's like, well, I can't even imagine doing anything else. This is me.
Yeah. I mean, like when I look at other jobs, I'm like, oh my God, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like people who do like, accounting like that. And there are people who just love that. And I look at that and I'm like,
Hmm.
that looks like a sucky job. Like, but like, good for you. It's just how our brains work. So this to me just
Yeah.
comes naturally to me and it's like so much fun. And I think the other thing I would say, Dean, that like is really great about marketing for me is I'm a person who loves to learn. And so I know that I may be long in the tooth, although my dentist has done a good job of keeping them pretty. But I get to keep learning new things
Yeah.
every time there's a new tool, every time there's a new toy, every time there's a new software. Now there's AI. I get to play and learn. So instead of being like, I remember in the old days when we used, that's you'll never hear that out of my mouth. I get very excited for whatever the new thing is. And people are even talking right now about the ban on TikTok. And yes,
Hmm.
I love TikTok. I'm on TikTok. You can find me at the 1111 Empress. I absolutely blather a lot on TikTok. I love TikTok. But if it goes away, what am I going to join? The next thing that starts as
Yeah.
fast as possible and learn it and master it. Like I'm bummed, but I'm excited that maybe something new will come.
All right. That sounds good. All right, Alyssa, thanks so much. It's
This
always
was
it's been
super
great to talk
fun.
to you. We've had like two offline conversations that weren't about this. They were total fun as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
I
right.
love talk
Hey,
to you
so
too.
who should reach out to you, and how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I love working with startups. I do a lot of work in tech, but I do a lot of consumer stuff too. I started in the
Sure.
music industry. I'm not in a specific niche, but I prefer smaller companies, startups, companies that like really need me, that need a CMO but can't afford a full-time CMO, that really need someone to help them build their marketing department and build their marketing from scratch. Like that is my jam. And butter and peanut butter and all the toppings. Like that is what I love.
All right. And how should they get in touch with you?
I have a
What's the
website.
website?
Convert. Oh, yeah, I have a website. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Alyssa Jane Mastel. I'm the only one that I know of. Or you
Okay.
can also find my website, convertgomarketing.com. And if you fill out that little form on my website, I'll write you a mini strategy for free.
Right on. All right. This has been great. Thank you so much.
It's been super fun.
This went by fast. Okay.